Hey, what's up? What's going on? Welcome, my peeps, my peoples. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video. It'll be greatly appreciated from the bottom of my heart, my peeps, my peoples. So we are going to talk about the challenge, season 31, episode 14, the final. Basically, we're at the final challenge. There's two parts. So tonight we did not find out who actually is going to win the challenge, but we did get some losers tonight. We did have some people go away. So anyways, we start off with Leroy and Tony in the beginning of the episode. Basically, they're having a heart-to-heart type of conversation, and they're talking. And basically, they're having this conversation, and Leroy is just saying, like, yo, I've been blindsided. I've been taken advantage of. I've been hurt. You know, you're supposed to be my boy. You tell me this, you tell me that, and then turn around, you turn your back on me. And he was like, and so Leroy was having that conversation with Tony, because basically, you know, he was feeling some type of way about Tony. So Tony was like, yo, it is what it is. It's a game or whatever. And so Tony was like, yo, I'm not your little brother no more. So I got to make moves in this game. And Tony definitely did make moves in the game. And so then Tony asked Leroy if he wanted to apologize to him, basically, for calling him a B word, because Leroy did call Tony a bitch. He called him a bitch to his face. And then Leroy said, well, do you think you a bitch? And Tony said, no. Well, you were acting like a bitch, so I think you're a bitch, basically. So is bygones, so they're not going to make up or whatever. But Tony then goes into the room and he talks to Zach, and Zach is there. And Zach and Tony basically agreed to fuck Leroy over, to screw Leroy. They don't care about Leroy. And basically, you know, Zach is going back to a vendetta that happened years ago, at least 5 or 6 years ago. So he has a vendetta against, you know, Leroy. But he's been working with Leroy for so many different episodes and seasons. So it's just like, okay. So Zach was fronting last episode when Zach was like, oh, that's wrong what Tony did to him. Oh, I feel bad for Leroy because he is a vet. So all that was fugazi, all that was bullshit. So anyways, now they're getting their gear, they're getting all the stuff that they need to wear to go to, you know, the challenge, basically. So they're going to go to this challenge. It's going to be in some spooky, scary castle. So basically, they all line up. You have Cara, you have Nicole, you have Cam, and you have Kayla, and you have, you know, Leroy, and you have Zach, and you have Kyle, and you have Tony, basically. And so basically, they are going to be starting this challenge, and they're going to have to put on armor. They're going to be shackled, and they basically got to run through mud and basically take these pegs of sticks, bring one from one area to the next area, put it in the bucket. But basically, people can steal your sticks. So anyways, now, but there's two parts to this, you know, final. After they do that, they have to run and they have to go into the dungeon. And the dungeon part is basically where they're gonna have to meet up with, you know, Melissa and Johnny Bananas, basically in the Bananas, for just really stop their game. But it's really not like that. And so basically they got to go through each different course, and they have to have tokens, and they're gonna have a puzzle at the end of the game. and 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 they're gonna have to just put shit together. So basically, now they're all together, and it's get ready, get march, get set, go. And they have to run for a couple of miles, like 1.5 miles. And basically, when they're running through the mud and the dirt, the mud is deep, the mud is all heavy and shit, and they're getting stuck. Nicole already falls, and she already falls or whatever. She's going back and forth. So Tony and, you know, Zach feel like, you know what, we're going to do Leroy, and we're going to take whatever pegs he brings from one area to the final area. We're going to take his pegs and bring them back to the beginning area, so that way he'll have a leg back and he won't be able to go forward. So basically, they're double teaming Leroy, and then Leroy figures out that they're double teaming him, and he's calling them bitches or whatever. So he starts to take their pegs out of their buckets or whatever and bring them back. So at this time of point, it's wasting time, and it's also putting Tony behind. But in the meantime, Kyle is stealing pegs from all three of them, and they don't even know, because they're not paying attention to Kyle, because nobody believes Kyle is a good player. Nobody believes Kyle can do anything or whatever. So it is what it is. I was just like, damn. So Kyle done snuck his way in. Kyle done did his thing. And so basically Kyle ends up finishing that obstacle course, and he's running, and he's leading everybody. So basically Zach and Tony feels like, okay, you know what? We taking, Leroy's pegs and sticks, and then Leroy taking ours is putting us behind. So we're gonna call it truce. So they call it truce. And then Nicole decides to take Kara's peg or whatever because she doesn't want Kara to win because Kara is the best girl that's out there. If you go by finales and you go by challenges and competing, she has the most experience. She's the vet, and she comes through most of the time. So anyways, Kara was like, you know what? You don't mess with my shit. I don't mess with yours. And Kara's like that. Like when she's playing, she won't touch your stuff or you don't touch her stuff. But anyways, I'm still pissed with Kara. I'm still pissed with Zach. I'm still pissed with, Tony for what they did to Leroy. But basically, Leroy did beat Brad or whatever. But, she chose the dude, Kara chose the dude that she was having sex with to be in the finals. Then her friend, somebody that she was close knit with and tight with Bananas too as well. And she did him, and then Tony faking a funk like he didn't want to go up against Kyle because Kyle is easy to go up against. He would rather run a final with Kyle than Leroy, whatever, because he Leroy or Brad can go. He doesn't really care, and basically he feels like Leroy's his vendetta, but it wasn't like that all season. So Tony picks, Tony and Kara, they save, Kyle, because they think, he's the Kara saves him because she was sleeping with him and he paid her some attention. And Tony said he did it because he would rather run a final with Kyle. So it is what it is. So anyways, right now Kyle's in the lead. So Nicole decides to steal Kara's, pegs or sticks. Kara's like, why are you doing that to me? I was kind of like happy too as well. But I was kind of happy as well that Nicole did that to her because what she did to Leroy. So, but then Nicole got to turn around and get hurt. So somehow Nicole twists her ankle. She hurt her ankle and she's crying and she's screaming. And basically she's disqualified and she was just crying her eyes out. I'm going to, I did take the pictures, but I decided to do this live because I never did a review live. So I was like, let me just do the challenge live. There's so many pictures though. So anyways, Nicole was crying. You never see Nicole like this week. Like she was like, I can't believe I can't take my money with me. I can't believe this. I can't, she's upset. She's mad. She's like, she's hurting. Like she's in pain because she thought that, that she was going to run this final. Now it looks like she's not going to be able to run this final, and she actually is not. So she's disqualified. So basically it's whoever comes in first and second place actually go to the second part of the final, and it's going to be it's going to be 2 guys and 2 girls, so that's going to be 4 players, so because there's 2 parts. So anyways, so Kaya so Nicole is just done, it's over for her. And so then Kara was like, that's Karma, she was stealing my pegs, that's what she gets or whatever. I wonder if Nicole wasn't stealing Kara's pegs, would she have already succeeded to the second part of the challenge and bounce? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But I don't know if that time wasted stealing, Kara's pegs or sticks or whatever, doing that actually hurt her ankle. Now, if she was focusing on her game and not going back and forth, maybe she would have made it to the end. So that really hurts. Like when you know that you did something and you messed up, that shit hurts. And now she's going to be disqualified. So it's like karma. And so the same thing Cam said. She said that every time she got a grenade and she tried to give it to Kara, karma came back on her or whatever. So it is what it is. I was just like, damn. And so they also have to put on these armor suit once they get to the other part of the challenge. So anyways, what's her name? Kara's number is in first place. Kayla's in third place, and then Cam is in second place. But then so they go into the next part of the obstacle, and now they have to go into the dungeon. So basically they got to go down into the dungeon, and basically it's a game called High or Low or whatever. And so it's Bananas and it's Melissa there, and Bananas is going to try to screw Zach or try to screw Tony over, but he's not able to because they end up succeeding. But first, Leroy was the first one, so Leroy had the lead, and just like Leroy just lost the lead. I was like, damn, Leroy had to lead when he went into the dungeon, and basically he played high and low. He did good. He had to put on the armor, but he had to run. And I think the run is slowed Leroy up, the running. And then Zach was right behind him. Zach made it through without getting any type of grenades, because Melissa or Bananas could give you a grenade. There was 3 grenades. There was either drink a lot of water, there was do jumping jacks, and there was bury a log or whatever. So all the guys passed through without no problem. Caillou passed through. No, Caillou was second or third. Everybody passed through without any problems. But when it came to Cam, when she was her turn to play high and low, she couldn't pass through. So she ended up playing high and low and losing. And since she had a beef and an altercation with, Melissa, so it was a problem. So Melissa ended up picking her to dig to bury a log. So she had to put on her armor suit, that heavy ass suit, after they take the chains off. And so she had to go and dig a hole in the ground and bury a log. And then Kayla could not put on her armor, so it took her for a long time to do that as well. She took forever, but she finally got it through. And then basically, I think it was I was just like, damn. So then Zach ended up getting up there, and basically Zach ended up, I think, doing the challenge with Kara, and basically it was to drink. Basically, you had to move these knives from place to place or whatever. So Zach passed that, and Caillou passed that too. Caillou was gone, so Caillou was now in the lead. Caillou done passed everybody basically, and Leroy, if you lose playing the pegs with the knife, moving the swords, whoever have the last sword either have to eat cheese, either have to drink, hot chocolate, and it was something else they had to drink, I think. And so, but anyways, Leroy chose Caillou because Caillou and Leroy was neck to neck. Leroy chose Caillou to eat cheese. Leroy still had the lead, and somehow Caillou caught up. And then Zach, he did his challenge with Carl Marie, basically, and he picked Carl Marie ended up, Carl Marie ended up, drinking, hot chocolate. She said it was good. So her and Tony bounced. And then her and Zach bounced. And then it was Tony's turn. And Tony had to wait for either Cam or Kayla to come. And it was taking forever for them to get through to come or whatever. So Kayla finally shows up. Kayla's happy because she's actually beating Cam, because only 2 guys and 2 girls can, go to the second round. And so Tony's sitting there wasting so much time. Tony even wastes time when he was talking to Nicole, when Nicole hurt her ankle. And so then Kayla finally shows up and they play the game. Kayla loses. He shows her to drink hot chocolate and they start running and going and going. I was just like, damn. And then Cam, she didn't have anybody to go up against because Nicole went home. So she just had to put all the knives in the box and move. And she was running slow, but Zach was gone. Zach passed everybody and he was gone. He was, I don't know if he's on steroids or what he's on, but he ended up passing everybody and he made it, and he won this part of the challenge. So he's number 1, and then Kyle comes in next, and then Leroy comes in next, and then Tony comes in next. So Tony actually loses, and it's like Tony feels like, damn, I went through this whole season. I was beasting, I was riding, I was killing everybody. I did everybody in. I had all types of vendettas. I turned my back on people. I lied on people, and it was all for nothing because Tony had $39,000, and now he's not bringing none of that money home, and he has to go home. And then on top of that, whoever wins the challenge is going to get $375,000 to go into their bank account. If you come in second place, you're going to get an extra $5,000 added on to your money. And if you come in third place, you're going to get an extra $10,000 that's added onto the money that you already have. Then if you come into first place, you're going to get $150,000. And then all the money combined that everybody has in the bank, or all the money that people lost or whatever. So total, the winner is going to get $375,000, like OMG. And there's only going to be one winner. It's not going to be no man and a woman. It's just going to be one freaking winner. So anyways, So Leroy has to go home. I'm like, damn, Leroy had Tony and he had Zach against him. And he played a hard season. Bananas got sent home, and basically he was always on the line worrying about, was he going home? Cara turned her back on him. He ended up falling off the car, having a seizure. So many different things happened to him. And then when he did the challenge with the trucks or whatever, he ended up getting tied up and he wasn't able to move and he was stuck. So he fell in last. If it wasn't for Nelson hitting the real big cardboard box, Leroy would have been gone. So Leroy is peace again to Leroy. Like, damn, why couldn't Leroy win? But it started off bad. But he wasn't defeated. He was gonna try his best, but Zach is just in better shape than anybody. Then Kyle surprised everybody, and Kyle was able to Kyle came in second place, and Kyle was like, you guys thinking that I'm a layup. And Banana said a long time ago, we need to get rid of Kyle. We need to get rid of Kyle. Tony should have got rid of Kyle because he felt like he can beat Leroy. So he should have got rid of Kyle. If he would have got rid of Kyle, he would have ended up going against either Brad or Leroy. Most likely Tony could have beat Brad, or he could have beat Leroy. It would have been better odds than him going up against what's his name, Kyle. So Kyle done did it in. So but Zach always had his eye on Kyle too as well. Kyle skated by. Nobody came after Kyle. Nobody gave Kyle a hard time. He barely went up. He was always in the troca, the trachea. Most of the time, the troca, the trachea. He was always in there all the time and shit. So like everybody let him breeze through. They let a newcomer, someone that has nothing to do with the challenge, someone that's not even from the States, United States, they let him come and breeze through, and he breezed right on in and took it. And he is in the final. Like, OMG. So Cara, she ends up making it. She's first place of the women. So she's going to the finals, and most likely she's going to win. She's going up against Kayla. Kayla is good. This is Kayla's third challenge, and this is the first time that she's in the final, so she did really good. And Cam, she's going home, but Cam did really good because she made it to the final. She didn't make it to the second part of the final, because if she didn't have to dig that log, she would have made it. Because it seems like Kayla barely made it. Kayla kind of like got frustrated with putting on the armor and everything, but especially in the challenge. And I really wanted Cam to come through because I was reading on the blogs that Cam was gonna win. So I'm assuming Cara's gonna win, and I'm assuming Zach's gonna win. It's gonna be Zach and Cara that are gonna take the challenge. The next part of the challenge. So, and everyone says the challenge was difficult. To me, it didn't seem difficult, but at the end they had a puzzle. So they have to basically they have to look at this puzzle brain memory game, basically. So you got to look at these colors that are in a circle shape, and you have to remember it and then do it to your board. And so basically, Zach only has one to go. Cara only has one to go. They didn't really show Kyle. And Kayla, they didn't show where she was at. So the next part of the challenge, we're gonna see the finale and the final, see who wins. So who do you guys think is gonna take home the gold? Who do you guys think is going to win? I'm just so mad that Leroy didn't make it, and then Leroy had Tony and Zach going up against him, and just like Zach came out of nowhere being a snake and being an enemy towards Leroy, because any other time he's cool with Leroy, but he was like F Leroy. So Leroy had a bunch of snakes, just like Banana said he had snakes. And it was like, damn, how come Banana wasn't able to do more? Like, maybe like go against a match or do something to trick him up the high and low game, and he couldn't cheat in the game. That really wasn't a distraction. Only thing that would made it good is if one of them lost the high or low game, Bananas can send them a grenade or whatever. But I don't know, man. It wasn't like I wanted it to be at all. But there was so far we don't see any swimming. There's a lot of running. There was mud. They were chained up. They had to put armor on. They had to go back and forth and carry, sticks and run back and forth. Then they had to run like a half a mile. And that's a lot to do, to run a half a mile while you're already, working out and doing things in the challenge. So what do you guys think about the situation? I was like, damn, Kim got robbed. Leroy got robbed, in my opinion, but it is what it is. So Zach is number one. He won this part of the finals, and Kyle is number 2. They underestimated him and they let him be there because maybe if Kyle wasn't there, Tony, you would have probably been next to, Zach. So it is what it is. And then on top of that, you made a bad decision and you created a lot of enemies. You created a lot of enemies, Tony. But you know what? Was it worth it? Maybe it was. Anyways, peace. I'm out. One love.